So the Confederate Congress and the Confederate Army found great use for these partisan rangers, so much so that they passed an act in April of 1862, the Partisan Ranger Act, which allowed Jefferson Davis to mobilize these guerrilla fighters, to muster them into the Confederate Army, which meant that they were paid, they got rations, and they got war material. So they got uniforms, they got shelter, and this legitimated them. This act also did something interesting, which it established that partisan rangers would be paid for whatever booty they lifted from the enemy. So they would bring back, if they could bring back any material or horses or whatnot, then they could turn them into the quartermaster and be paid. So there's an incentive for you, right? Partisans, though, some groups got a little out of control, and some Confederate officials, including Robert E. Lee, complained about it to Jefferson Davis and to the congressmen, and so they repealed the Partisan Ranger Act in February of 1864, so sort of taking that legitimacy away. The one partisan band that did continue to act in Virginia was John Mosby's band. So here's a photograph of him, and you see that he signed it. He sort of described what he is wearing at this moment that his photograph has been taken, and signed it as a kind of souvenir. He had been a cavalry officer serving with Jeb Stuart, but he formed a partisan band in January of 1863. And as Stanton's letter really reveals to you, he became quite notorious. He loved to execute raids on horseback, on wagon trains and supply depots. He was also quite fond of launching surprise attacks at night and capturing especially Union officers while they were sleeping. He liked to wake them up and inform them that they were now prisoners of the Confederate government. So Mosby, in fact, was so good at this and so good at eluding capture that he earned the nickname the Gray Ghost during the war. There were two other kinds of irregulars, guerrillas, just referred to generally, who were individuals and small companies engaging in guerrilla activities unattached to local armies or pretty far afield, so that they weren't actually operating where the Union Army was occupying space. Their principal responsibility was local defense, the protection of their families or communities against both internal and external foes. Guerrillas decided where and when and how and against whom to fight.